I saw this quote on someone's blog the other day, and the title was, "Are stories made or found?" It's a fine line between made or found, like what does that really mean? But
Right.
is it something that you see someone walking down the street and you just envision what their life is like and you're like, I'm going to write this? Or you read an article, hear something on NPR, and you say, I want to do a fictionalized version of that?
All of the above. Sometimes an idea will come to me by seeing a guest on a TV show talking about something. NPR is a great source of that kind of stuff. Leanne is always saying to me, "Oh, I heard this great interview on NPR. You should make a script about that." You know, one really interesting one, which is nowadays I just kind of like, oh my God. So of the two scripts that I originally showed to William Asher, you know, he's the one he didn't care for because it had this supernatural magic element to it, right? That was a sort of a modern version of an old Chinese story that was a children's book that I remembered reading when I was a kid. It was called The Five Chinese Brothers. And in it, this one brother gets in trouble with the emperor and he's sentenced to death, right? But each one of these brothers has a power, has an interesting power. So they all look alike, right? So they're going to say, okay, we're going to throw you into the ocean so you drown, right? But the one brother has the ability to swallow the entire ocean, so he doesn't drown. And another one, they're going to feed him to an alligator or something like that, and the brother has a neck that's like unbreakable. And so they keep switching them out, and so that they can't kill him, right? And so in around 1990, oh, maybe earlier than that, 80, maybe 88, 89, somewhere around there, I'm home during the day, and I'm watching the Oprah Winfrey Show, and Donald Trump was the guest. And at that time, they were making him out to be like he was going to be this, you know, this amazing God-like person that he thinks he is now. But he sounded legitimate. Like he sounded like he was a really, really smart guy, and he was really good at things. And I remember that Oprah asked him if he was ever consider running for office, right? And he didn't. He just gave kind of a vague answer, but I just remember him saying that, like, well, I'll tell you this, that if I do decide to run for office, I'll do it full on. Like I won't hold back, right? And I thought to myself, what if this guy knows something that we don't? Like, what if this guy can see into the future, right? And then I started thinking about that Chinese brother story, right? And I thought, what if there was these five brothers who had built up this huge corporation because no one else knew that each of them had a power. And one of them could, if he held your hand, he could read your mind. And one of them held your hand, he could see a little bit into your future. Another one could hold your hand and he could heal you of whatever your illness is. And the other brother, who was a twin, if he held your hand, he could kill you just by touching you. And then there was a fifth brother, and the fifth brother was the one they were grooming to be a politician, right? So that was the basis of this story that was the other script that I had with Return of the Gargoyle, right? And it was big. This is like I said, you know, everybody's making a Die Hard movie back then because the spec script, it was through the roof. They were buying up big high concept scripts all over the place. So it was a huge movie. The whole thing, there's a whole skyscraper on fire at the end and all this kind of stuff, right? And but that came from me seeing Donald Trump on the Oprah Winfrey Show. And stuff like that happens all the time. I once witnessed in a courtroom, I saw a guy try to get out of a DUI, having to pay the fines or or do community service or anything like that. And he said he said to the judge, well, I'm a screenwriter. I could write a PSA about not drinking and driving to instead of doing that. And the judge was like, no. But I gave the guy credit for trying, But that inspired an idea of a script that I'm working on now, right? Just that little moment that I happened to witness. So you never know where it's comes from. Lately, I'm now working on the third adaptation of an existing novel that I've been hired to write. So I adapted, the first one was I adapted a novel that was written by James Franco's mom, who's she's an author, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was hired to take her novel and make it into a movie, because you have to make changes in adapting. You've got to sometimes change a lot of things. And the one I'm working on now is a murder mystery that is set in the world of magicians. And that also was an existing material. That was a book. So when I was hired, or before I was hired actually, my manager sent me the book and said, read this, tell me if you think you can do something with it. And I read it and I was like, I could definitely do something with this. And so I was hired to do that. So sometimes those things are brought to me. And sometimes also, there's been many times when I think I might have said before that I'll be brought into a company that has an existing material. I mean, so they call it script doctoring sometimes. And they really want to make this movie. They love the concept, but the script they have is unfilmable. So I'll have to come in and basically usually start from scratch, usually toss the existing material, stay with the concept, but make it a movie that can be made, and make it a script that can be actually made into a movie, right? That works as a movie, as opposed to, I never even look who the person is that wrote the earlier draft. I had one. Oh my God, this was the best. I was brought in to this one project, and they said, well, we're going to send you the script, and it's called Beware of Elevators, right? So now, title of the movie is Beware of Elevators. What kind of movie do you think that would be?
Oh, well, maybe some people will be stuck in a high-rise elevator.
Right, so like a drama.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Maybe a horror movie.
Right.
That's what I was thinking too, right?
Mm-hmm. Maybe the elevator has a mind of its own.
Yeah, right. So that's what I'm expecting. I get the script and I start to read it. And I realized about 10 pages in that this is a movie about a guy who dies in an elevator, and he comes back as his fiance's dog. And the movie is the guy trapped in the dog's body, and we're hearing his thoughts and everything as he's now trying to basically protect his fiancée and help her get over the grief and everything like that, right? Well, it was just terrible. It was a terrible script, right? And I was going to pass on it. I was going to say, no, I'm not going to do a talking dog movie. Sorry. But then, right before then, I just had a thought, and I thought, how could I possibly make this work? And what I ended up doing was turning it into a mystery. Because in the original script, you find out how the guy dies right away, right? He died in an elevator, right? So what I did was have the guy comes back as a dog, doesn't remember how he died. And so over the course of the script, he little by little he starts getting flashes of what happened that night. And the further along, the more flashes he gets, the more he starts to put it together as to what happened. And so it became more than just a comedy about a guy trapped in a dog's body. It also became sort of a mystery, because we're finding out, it's unfolding, it's like peeling an onion. You're finding out little by little what led to that and how and why did he end up here in this dog's body. And then it worked. And I ended up loving that script. It's like one I really loved. It'll probably never get made, but that's how it goes. I mean, I still got paid. So that's so funny. That's a big misconception also about screenwriters. Okay, a lot of people think that working screenwriters, what we do, we write a script and then it gets made, and then we go on the next script and it gets made, and we go on the next script and it gets made. I would say 5% of the scripts that I get hired to write get made. 5%. But I'm still a working screenwriter. You get hired, you write a script, you get paid a certain amount for that script, right? And then that script may never get made. I wrote a script for J-Lo, for Jennifer Lopez, that I was like, oh, this has to get made. It's for Jennifer Lopez, right? Nope. Did like 12 drafts on it. Got paid, but that movie will never get made. It's when you get a movie made, that's great. that's a big deal. But yeah, the rest of the time you're still working, you're still creating, you're still, if you're lucky, you're getting hired. And also, then there's the matter of coverage. Coverage is a big deal in this business. So coverage is when you write a script and the producer sends it to a script reading company. Right? There are several of them here in LA, and what they do is they have somebody read the script, break it down, and then in the end, there's 3 possibilities that they assign to it. One is pass, which means no, we're not interested. One is consider, right? Which is maybe if you work on it, it might have potential. And then the Holy Grail, recommend, right? Now, something like 90% of the scripts that these companies get pass. Maybe 8% or so, 9% get consider. And there's variations of consider. There's like consider with, considerations and so forth, right? But it's still in the consider. This is pass, this is consider. 1% of the scripts that go through these companies get recommend. So that's what you're up against, And when you get that, if you get that recommend, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. Yeah.
What's the name of the check that you get if it actually goes to
we
production?
call it first day of principal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because that's normally that's when you'd get the money, the rest of the big money for that you would get for writing the screenplay. Yeah.
So a big majority of what you do is writing something, doing many drafts, getting paid that initial chunk, but most of the time something's not going to be, it's not going to go to production, and you won't get the remainder of it.
But keeping working is, you stay focused on it. Luckily, sometimes those scripts are great. Just because they don't get made, it doesn't mean they aren't good, and you can use them as writing samples to show that you're not counting on it. Like I don't show anybody Return of the Gargoyle anymore because it's dated and it's from the early '90s or whatever, and so I can show them something that I've written in the last couple of years that is maybe it didn't get made, but it's still I think it's a terrific script, or someone else thinks it's a terrific script, and that will sometimes the person who's looking for a screenwriter might read that and go, oh, I like the attitude you had with this, so we're going to hire you, and in the best case scenario is, of course, your movie gets made, but yeah, I mean, working screenwriters are not putting out a movie, every year. We might write 3 scripts in a year, but because it's really hard to get a movie made. It's really hard. Anybody will tell you that in this business. It's tough.
And with I Hate Kids, there was already financing attached, right? Because Todd had his production company.
Well, Todd found an investor.
Oh, he did. Okay.
A couple of them, really, but you need one to get you started. You need one, that's going to put in a good chunk of that budget, so that other investors will go, oh, all right, well, somebody else has put money into it. What happens all the time is, a movie starts to go into production, and you've got a budget, but you need some other investors. You get some people interested, but then your first investor drops out, and then that's a house of cards that's just gonna fall. Todd and I had a movie. It was a while back now. Another comedy we had written that we were in pre-production. We had the office open. We were scouting locations. We were casting, everything like that. Everything was going swimmingly, and the investors had a clause in their contract that said that they could approve or disapprove the 3 leads. That killed us because they wanted Reese Witherspoon, and we tried to explain to them, Reese Witherspoon gets, our budget was like $3.5 million, right? Reese Witherspoon gets more than that for a comedy, right? Alone. That's the whole budget right there, right? I mean, she might do like a little art house kind of, Oscar potential role for less money, but for a comedy, no, she's got that's our whole budget right there. So they want Anna Faris. Well, Anna Faris is the same deal, And we struggled and struggled and struggled to find somebody they would approve. If I remember correctly, Todd could tell me if I'm remembering this right or not, but as I recall, read the script and liked it, was ready to say yes, and they said no to her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
wow.
So go figure, right? So that ruined it. We ran out of time to make that movie, basically. We had to shut down. It's too bad, because that was a very, very funny script. I would still love to see that movie get made. Yeah, right? I know.
Yeah.
I mean, she's done a lot of great work.
She's done a lot of great stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I got so excited. I was like, oh, that would be awesome.
That would be super cool.
And then a couple days later, it was like, I called the office, the production office, and the guy was like, "No, we're shutting down." I was like, "Oh God."
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I actually quit a job because we were in pre-production, which goes to show you, nothing's in stone until it is.
Yeah.
No.